Yeah, we love seeing you and doing this together with you.
Thank you.
Lila is a local professional artist, a businesswoman, current YubaSutter Arts and Culture board member, and I think actually our part of our executive committee is secretary. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Former artist in residence at YubaSutter Arts and Culture and founder of the For the Love of Frida events. She's also an arts educator. Did I leave anything out, Leela?
Um, I think that sums it up.
Well, I mean,
Anything that has to
mother.
do with art.
Yeah, that's right. Mother and a wife, all of that's good
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, before we get into all the details, how are you doing during the crazy times of COVID?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing better now, I think, than when it first started. I think
Yeah,
everyone got really shooken up when it first started, but now I kind of like just adapted to this new lifestyle, and it's not so bad. I'm still
good.
able, well, for me, I'm still able to do my art, so I think that's been keeping me sane.
We know you've been very busy. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. We've all kind of gotten into a whole new routine. It's sort of weird thinking about having to go back someday or whatever
right.
it'll look like someday out there.
Yeah.
How's your husband Randy and your son Kala?
They're doing good. Randy just he this whole time he's just been working, so that was really good. We got
Is he
really
still
fortunate
commuting
that
to Sacramento or
yeah, he
he
still
goes in?
commutes
Okay.
Sac, sometimes Vacaville. That was kind of scary during the fires. Um,
Oh yeah.
Also in Folsom he works, but wherever they station him really. But he's been working a lot, and which is good because I couldn't work anymore, so it's like one of us has to.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, so we were fortunate to
Well,
that he
you're
still
never
keeps
not
going.
working though.
Yeah,
You're very busy.
it's so funny. You say everybody always tells me that, but you're always working, and I'm thinking, but to me, it doesn't feel like work because
That's
I really enjoy doing
that's
it.
good.
Yeah. So, but
Well,
it
someone
is
once
good that I'm able to do
told
that.
me don't get good at something that you don't like to do, you know, and obviously you love what
Right.
you do in all of its many forms. And your son Kahlo, I know he's a
Yeah.
budding artist and just
Yes.
adorable little boy. And
Yeah.
oh, that's
He
so
keeps me
exciting.
busy.
As I was preparing to talk with you today, and I was thinking back, I didn't we first meet at a Dia de los Muertos event in Sacramento maybe 5 years
Yeah.
ago? Our friend Sarah Sealander had mentioned it to us, and so Abby and I went there to that wonderful complex, and it was like
Hmm.
a whole Dia de los Muertos celebration with artists and food and music and the big what are the big
Yeah.
puppets called? Uh, I know
They
they've got
did have. They were, I think, paper mache.
yeah, the paper mache
Those.
puppets. I
Yeah.
mean, it was
Yeah.
incredible. And there you were, and we're in Sacramento meeting an artist who lives right here in Yuba City. We didn't even know about you. And you
Isn't
had
that
this whole
funny?
display set up with your original artwork and all the
Hmm.
different spin-off products. I mean, keychains and all kinds of
Yeah.
amazing things. So I love that we've gotten to know each other and we've done so many projects together now since then.
Yeah, I was so excited. I remember when I first met you guys, and then you were talking about doing a similar show at the Yuba Sutter Arts and asked me if I wouldn't mind curating it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is awesome because I had never curated a show before, and I knew a bunch of artists that would just love to be involved. And I was like, this is perfect. All we need is just the space. And
Yeah.
that was just great. And at where I was at, it was at the Latino Center of the Arts
Is that what
in
it's called?
Sacramento.
That
Yeah,
complex? Yeah, it
yeah,
was just incredible. Is it still
yeah.
there? Still
It's
going?
still there. They still have shows up. My friend Ruben, he goes over
Mhm.
there and he's been working on. He does a lot of pieces outside. They redid like their outdoor courtyard. They're even putting like a little outdoor bar or something. People can go out there and sit. They
Ah,
made a little stage area and they're hoping to have some live music sometime. Like they're really fixing it up and it looks really great. He's constantly posting pictures of things
well,
that
I
they're
see on
adding.
his on his social media. So that's that same
Yeah,
place where
that's
we
the
first.
place.
Oh, I didn't
Yes.
realize
Yeah.
that was the
I know it
connection.
looks so different
Oh
now
my
that they've
gosh.
added so much more to it.
Well, I got to pay more attention and go to an event there because I love
Yeah.
that whole complex. It was
Yeah,
just
it's really
wonderful.
great.
Well, and as I said earlier, meeting you that day, and as I was reading off all the things, your accomplishments, I mean, your artistry, and we'll dig deeper into that here shortly. But just the fact that you're so entrepreneurial, and as a business person, it's just not all artists can do that. I mean, it's great to create
Yeah.
art. And, you don't want to sell it. That's great. But if you do, there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with making money on your art. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
just I love how much of that you do, and you focus on it, and you can really earn earn a living at it.
Yeah. I've had artist friends like especially this year, just message me, like some friends that I've had in college just messaged me out of the blue who I haven't talked to in years and started asking me, hey, how can I get my art out there? Or what do I do? What do you do? Like, help me out. And so I give them some
Good.
pointers. But really, you just have to be very social.
That helps.
And
That helps.
yeah, that helps a lot. And I mean, I love sharing my art. I always have. And I love sharing other people's art that I really love. I would love everyone to see it. And so that's where I've created so many artist friends, and we just all come together. And then also when our art can collab, or when it's like the same subject matter, that really helps too. But then through them, you meet other artists, and it's just a reaction. You just meet people through people, and it's really great.
Well, and I love the fact that we make jokes here in Yuba Sutter about that river between Marysville and Yuba City. Sometimes it seems much wider than it really is, and
Yeah,
yet you've got this network here locally as well as Sacramento, and you've had so many of those Sacramento-based artists come up and
yeah,
join us for some events, Day of the Dead, and
yeah.
for the Love of Frida, and meeting John Huerta, and just and
Hmm.
some of the others, and Ruben. It's just fantastic, that network.
I know. I was shocked that I was able to get so many people come to the Frida shows and the Day of the Dead shows, because I thought, oh, no one's gonna come to Yuba City. Like, we're all the way out here.
You
And
bet.
but they came, and it was so great. I had a vendor come all the way from Modesto, and I
Oh, I
was
didn't
like,
realize.
wow, yeah. And even one, I think she came from oh, somewhere in the Bay, close to San Francisco. And I thought,
Wow.
whoa, that's crazy. But yeah, it was great, and they loved the event. They came back for the other ones too. So
That's
yeah,
great.
it was really nice.
Well, and just like you're doing with various products based on your artwork. Well, I mean the masks,
Yeah,
but being able to use social media. It's like we've got the online art auction going right now. It's the third one that
hmm,
Abby's put together, and we're helping artists sell art,
yeah,
and to that point, creating opportunities, whether it's virtual, online, or actual in-person events. And gosh knows we're so anxious to get back to having art galleries open and
right,
outdoor art events of various kinds where we can create those opportunities for artists to come in and show their work and
yeah,
sell it. That's important as a part of that process. Um,
yes.
and
And I
you've
think
been
it helps the artist stay active as well. They look forward to a show. They want to make a bunch of new pieces for it, and so it keeps us, busy.
absolutely. So you're an artist and a businesswoman, and we're going to circle back on all of that. But you're also a teacher. So tell us
Yes.
about your work. We were talking before we went on the air about reopening at Little Stars Dance and Movement,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah, talk about
yesterday,
your role as a
yeah.
teaching artist teacher.
Yeah, yesterday was my first day back at Little Stars. I was kind of nervous, but I always get kind of nervous, like on my first day of school, kind of jitters.
Of course.
But I was so excited to be in a classroom, and not doing a distant learning was really nice.
Oh, I'll bet.
Not having to work with technical difficulties or anything. It just felt like normal. I have 10 students, and we set them 6 feet apart from each other.
What
We got
ages?
them,
What
um, ages 10, or ages 5 to 10.
in
So
that
it's
in
a,
that classroom? Okay.
yeah, in one classroom. And it's a dance studio, so it's bigger than a regular classroom.
Nice.
So
So
we
you
have
can
a lot of
socially
space.
distance. Yeah.
Yeah, and some kids had masks on, some didn't. I told them, oh, I did go over some rules with them at the beginning. Just as long as you stay at your desk, raise your hand if you want to be excused, just to make sure nobody's out and walking around.
Sure.
I kept my mask on the whole time. I was able to teach with it just fine. All my kids were so great. They
Oh,
all stayed at their desks. They were concentrating so hard on their art because there was not a peep coming out of anyone.
boy, that's
And
impressive.
they had so much fun. And I was like, wow. Like when you get that one class And it reminded me of when I used to teach a bunch of classes. And then I thought, oh, this is gonna be this is a good class already. Like I could tell. And yeah, great kids, great inspiration. I was teaching them about Vasily Kandinsky yesterday. So we
Wow.
went over colors. Yeah, I always try to teach them about an artist. Then we do an
Good.
artwork related to
Then
them.
do a project. Yeah.
So yeah, so they remember, and it always surprises me when I get some older students. I run into them sometimes, and they'll bring up an artist that I had taught them, and I thought, oh my gosh, you remembered. But they always pick. They always have their favorites, like
Oh,
that they pick, and that's how
isn't
I
that
could
the
tell.
best? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, it's so great. And I thought, oh my gosh, that really warms my heart that you were really paying attention, that you love that art. And especially if they go to a museum, they come back to me and say, oh,
yeah.
I saw Keith Haring, or oh, I saw
Oh
Andy
my God.
Warhol. And they know their names, they can
Yep.
identify them. And it's so great.
Oh, oh, that's the
Yeah.
best. So you're doing Kandinsky. Wow, I love it. Good.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun.
So how old is your son, Kahlo, now?
He's 4.
He's 4,
Yeah,
yeah, and he's a
yeah,
budding young artist. I know you keep him busy with art
yeah.
projects, and he seems to love it. I mean, it's not like you're forcing anything on him.
No, I don't force it on him at all. I let him come to me and tell me he wants to paint because I don't want
Oh, there
to.
he is
There he is. I
in the
don't want to
studio.
really. Yeah, he's my little guinea pig. So
Wow, no,
for my little classes or with the younger ones, if I want to try out and see how difficult it would be, I try it with him, and I think, well, if my 4-year-old can do it, then
yeah,
anyone can do it.
that's
So
incredible.
this one here, I just cut out the pieces, but he glued them everywhere. We were making Picasso witches.
I said totally cubist witches, right?
Yeah, Picasso witches,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I found it off Art Magazine. I thought, oh, this is
Oh,
fun because Halloween was coming up. This was, I think, last year when we made this
brilliant.
one,
Oh, that's
and
brilliant.
yeah, and he was just there. I cut out the pieces, I hand them to him, and I'm like, put them wherever you want, and he's just gluing them everywhere.
Good.
And then the next day, I would have my art class with my students, and they would do the same kind of project. So.
Oh, look at that. How fun.
Yeah, having fun with paint. He was painting
Hands
rocks
on. Total
and then
hands
all over
on.
his hands. Yeah, I was like, okay, just go for it. So
Are you doing some of the rocks, the little rocks?
yeah, he was painting some tiny little rocks. We've done some rock painting, a few of them,
That's like a thing. I
and
mean, I didn't realize it's
yeah.
really big all of a sudden out here in Plumas Lake in the suburbs
We
where
find them.
I mean
Colin's
it's
really
really
good at
cool.
finding them. He's found, I think, at least 3, like when we take our dog for a walk, and he'll just find one. It's so
Wow.
great. And then yeah, I just have a bunch of stuff to paint. This was a sculpture my mom gave me. It was welded together with barbed wire, and
Ah,
it's a cactus, and it's all rusty. And she gave it to me. She's like, oh, it needs to be painted.
painted,
It's
yeah.
super rusty, and so I had Kahlo help me paint that,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
it looks really nice now.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Well, so
yeah,
he's oh, just too cute, adorable.
yeah,
Great name too, right?
yeah,
Wink, wink.
yeah. Named
Um,
after Frida.
so he's starting at 4. When so what about you? When did you know or think you wanted to be an artist? Were you like
um,
Kahlo? Were you crazy about art as a young person?
Yeah, I always loved making things when I was little, and I have my mom to thank for that. She was always the one keeping me busy. I grew up the only child, so it was just me and my mom.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom, she liked to draw. She liked to draw clothes. Like she wanted to be a
Oh,
fashion designer, and she
okay.
liked to draw clothing. So I would sit and watch her sketch all the time, and I would tell her what to draw or describe something to her, and she would draw it out. I just thought it was so cool because I thought my mom's a great artist. Like she's so good at drawing, and I always thought I want to draw as good as my mom. And
Yeah,
and
that's
then
neat.
she would also she would crochet. She taught me how to crochet when I was about 6, and she taught me how to sew when I was probably 5. So I've always, been making things with my hands since I was
Okay.
little. Yeah, and so I kind of always knew like I wanted to always make things as part of my career, my lifestyle, and um, I wasn't I did like art. I don't remember painting at home. I know I had crayons, markers. Even my dad would draw with me with
Hmm.
markers. But I didn't start like painting until I went to school.
Okay.
And and then I would just, I love to paint. And I remember my mom would always tell me, the teachers would always tell me how good you were at painting. And I
Oh,
was only like 6.
wow.
But
Gee,
they were surprised that I like added a lot of detail to my paintings.
a
And
young
so
prodigy, see?
and so I just, continued doing it. And I kind of always just knew like I want to do art. Like, and my mom would, because I remember like when I got older, people or my classmates were like, "Oh, I want to be a nurse or a fireman or a vet. I love animals and stuff like that." And I thought, well, I just want to paint. Like, I just want to do art.
Yeah, want to be an artist. Hey,
Yeah. And a lot of the time I got told, "Oh, but that's not a real career. You can't make a living doing art."
unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. A lot of
I
young
know.
people hear that from
Yeah.
family and friends, and
Yeah.
doggone it,
Yeah.
you
Even my mom at one point, she's like, "You got to get an actual job, like the one that's gonna pay you." I go,
Yeah.
"I know." And it was funny because my first real job, like like a paycheck kind of job, was a juice it up. It's like Jamba Juice.
Oh, right.
I worked there for one day.
Oh,
And
that
then
bad, huh?
I did not like it at
Oh,
all. It was terrible. And I thought, I don't want to be washing dishes and making smoothies
no,
forever. This is not my thing.
no.
And I remember telling my dad, I went home crying. It was
Oh,
terrible. It was
yeah.
like my first job ever. Did not like it.
Traumatic.
And went home crying. And my dad said, "Well, you can just quit." And no one's ever told me
All right.
to quit something before. And I was like, that's an option? I can do that? He's like, if you're not happy, just quit. And I was like,
Oh,
okay. So that's exactly what I
good.
did. And I
You gave
think,
it a try. You gave it a
yeah, I
shot.
gave it a try. And then after that, then I thought, okay, then I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go to Yuba College
Yeah,
because I'm not having luck finding any jobs because I didn't have any work experience and no one would hire me.
sure.
And I don't want to be stuck in something that I don't like doing. And
That's right.
so I went and enrolled at Yuba College, and then I think after my first semester there, then I got a job working in the art department. And so
Oh, nice.
I thought this is where I belong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you kind of answered one of my earlier questions, or I hadn't even asked it, but as far as outstanding early influence in your life as an artist, so your mom was really kind
Yeah.
of critical to opening some of those doors. And
Yes.
then I know we kind of skipped right to Yuba College, but then high school, did you go to Yuba City High School?
Yeah, I went to University High School. Pam Novak, she was my art teacher. Yeah, and I also had Alex Sproul. She was my first
Oh,
ever art teacher was Miss Warmy at Cherubweno Middle School.
okay.
And she was also my art teacher slash my Spanish teacher,
Oh, how
which
fun.
just made her all amazing
Oh,
all around for me.
oh man, that's so,
And
yeah.
and when that's when I never had an art teacher before, and I thought, oh wow, that's a thing. I thought she has the best job ever. She gets to do art and teach Spanish too.
Oh,
Like that's amazing. And so I loved her class. It was so great. And then
oh,
when I went to Yuba High School, I thought I really want to take an art class. Like that was my thing. I really wanted to take an art class, and I took one with Alex Sprouse, my sophomore year of high school.
so Alex was at Yuba City High School at that time.
It was her first year teaching when she was
Okay,
my teacher.
before
Yes,
she went out to River Valley, where we
yes,
know her now. Yeah.
yeah. And I took her. I think it was a beginning art class that I
Okay.
took with her. And then I think the year after that, I had 3D art with Mr. Hall. He's no longer at Yuba
Okay. I
City.
don't. Yeah.
He was from Canada.
Oh,
So I don't know if he went back to Canada, but he was cool. 3D art with him, and then I think the year after that, I had Pam Novak for art. I forgot what art. Maybe it was advanced
yeah.
placement art. Yeah.
Who's
So
of course still a dear friend of yours and
yes,
ours, and just a
yep,
great partner with YubaSutterArts&Culture. So,
yeah. She does a lot.
oh,
she does.
amazing.
She's very hands on with her students, and she really she really opens up the whole art scene for them. She would take me to Second Saturdays, to all the galleries out there.
Yeah,
I
in
probably would
Sacramento.
have never even visited SAC if it weren't for her.
Oh,
So I got to see a bunch of murals and meet a bunch of artists. She kind of like, helped me open up and talk to people and talk to other artists and get ideas, get inspired. And I loved going because I would get it so inspired by seeing all the artwork. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Sometimes the artists would be doing live art. And so I'd stand there and watch their techniques and
oh,
try to learn a little bit just by watching them
oh,
paint.
wonderful. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
exciting. And I know she's that kind of a teacher because, well, in January before the lockdown, we took 45 of her current art students to Los Angeles
Right.
on a field
They
trip
got
to
so
Getty,
lucky.
Getty museums. And that was the first time I'd been around her for that long a period of time with a bunch of
Yeah.
students, and just seeing her interact, and she's so caring and giving, and they're so engaged. And of course, the whole thing was kind of fun and exotic, and a long
Yeah.
bus ride. But hey, once we got there and seeing those spectacular museums, and yeah, she's amazing. So that was another influence
Yeah.
in your life, and you're still
Yes.
close friends. So then you go out to Yuba College and started taking classes there, and they gave you a job.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And I worked there for, I think it was 4 or 5 years in the art department, maybe four,
Oh wow!
about four. Yeah. And it became like my second home. Like I was there like from 8 in the morning and I wouldn't get home till like 10 o'clock at night.
Wow!
Like I was there all day long and I filled my schedule up with all art studio classes. And art studio classes are not just an hour long or 2 hour
They're,
long. Some of
they're the
them are up
long
to
ones,
three
right?
hours. Yeah, they're the longest classes.
Yeah.
But it would go by so fast because you're just busy working on your art. And I would fill up my schedule so I'd have design, then watercolor, then
Wow.
ceramics, then
So you did it
sculpture,
all.
like
Oh
back
my
to
God.
back. Yeah. The only thing I never took was photography because it is expensive to buy cameras.
Well, and it's
And
interesting too. We toured the photo lab last year, and I was amazed because God, I'm always embarrassed. I forget the instructor's name.
Rick
But he,
Marai, I don't know if he's still there.
oh gosh, I can't think of it. But he starts the students with traditional wet photography. So
Yeah.
it's, like what I learned. I was a photographer for many years. It's, the negatives, and you got to develop
Yes.
those and then make the prints and put them through
Yes.
the
Yeah.
developer and the wash and all of that. I was like, oh my gosh. But he felt that
It's
was a
so
critical
cool.
part. Yeah.
Yeah,
So then you
it's
get into
cool to see
digital
it.
later.
Right. I never took photography, but I had a handful of photography friends. Like, how could you not when you're working the
Sure.
art? Yeah. So they would take me in there in the
Neat.
dark room and
Oh,
show me how to develop. One of my friend Carla, she was doing this technique where she would actually grab her negatives and she would burn them. And she was it was cool
like
because
burn them with fire. I mean,
yeah,
literally.
with a lighter. She would just straight up burn it to give it an effect before she developed it. And she took a
Wow.
lot of shots at graveyards. So a lot of them were like tombstones. But when
Oh,
she added that burning effect, it just added like a whole different technique on there. It made, yeah, it's so cool. And
oh,
so, she showed me the different things and of how like seeing her whole process of how you do it. You have to time everything, put it in one solution then the other, and like just
mm,
thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember being in there with her.
oh,
Um,
neat.
but then it also kind of reminded me of like printmaking because we have steps as well that we have to do before we actually print
Sure. It's all
our prints.
that
So
process, that you
yeah,
have to go through to get
yeah,
to that point of
I
creating the art.
know. And it's funny, people don't know the whole process because they've never done it. And but once you know it and then you get your final piece and you're like, "Oh, yes, it came out good." But you put it on a wall and to sell it and people just see it, but they don't know the whole process
That,
that you had to go
that's a
to get
really
that.
good point, and I think that
Yeah.
applies to pretty much any art form. I mean,
Yeah.
on oil painting, and just to get some sense. I took a couple of little sip and sketch classes, and with Max
Mhm.
Kopisarchik, and just even that little bit of an introduction to painting and that's all I've ever had. But it
Mhm.
really gives you, you really pay more attention to the brush strokes and the
Yeah.
color and I mean, all of those aspects that all about. And whether it's photography or ceramics or
Mhm.
painting or visual arts or textile fabric arts. I mean, it's if you understand the process just a little bit, or
Yeah.
printmaking is the one I got to study one of these days. All
You
the wood
should. It's
cuts
great.
and vinyl, the lino cuts or whatever they're called. I've
Yeah.
seen just enough to know I need to know a little bit more because it's like, wow, then you kind of see the final product and it's,
Right.
Oh my gosh.
You
How did you
appreciate
do
it
that?
so much more when you know all the work that really goes into it. Ceramics was great. I'm glad I took the class because it helped me appreciate ceramics so much more
Exactly.
because I'm really bad at throwing and I didn't realize that until I took the class and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot throw. I cannot make a bowl the size I wanted
Oh,
to. All my stuff was like really, I remember my stuff being so thick
oh,
because I just could not get, and I had other friends that they were just so good, like naturally would
yeah.
just make it. And I'm like, how are
I've
you
heard there's
doing
a
that?
knack. I've never done it, but it sure
Yeah.
makes you appreciate those super thin
Yes.
walled bowls. And when you
Yes.
see them, you go,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh!" You know, you got a
Yeah. I'm like,
sense
oh,
of,
that's a good one. Someone knows what they're doing there. Like,
oh no,
yeah.
it's that's incredible. Well, we're always concerned about our friends in the art department out at Yuba College, as I'm sure you know. Registrations have been down for some of the
Right.
classes. There have
Yeah.
been a number of cuts. We've lost some really great adjunct professors who have
Yeah.
gone on because there wasn't enough volume, literally just volume of students signing up for the classes, and the administrators had to cut a number of
Oh,
classes. And I haven't checked to see what's going on for the fall semester. Of course, it's virtual, which makes it even
right.
harder. But
Yeah.
our dear friend Glenn Husted, the head of the art department, just suffers, because he's working to keep it a viable, active program, and it's just really, really hard. So
Yeah. I
we should
can't
all sign
imagine
up
what
and
it's
take an
going to
art
be like
class.
now. I know.
Just for fun.
Yes. I would if I could again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. My
So
goodness.
who or what are some of your current inspirations? I mean, what keeps you going as far as an artist these days? Whether artists or
Um,
musicians or what's?
yeah. My artist friends, I see
Yeah,
them posting their artwork and I'm like, oh my gosh, look what they made. Oh, I want to do something like that. Or, oh, I need to start, making more. They inspire me they push me to do more. And I feel like the same way I have other friends that are artists that haven't done a whole lot. And they're like, Lila, I see your post. Oh, I've seen your commission. Oh, I really need to start painting again. I'm like, do it, do it. Like, so we kind of encourage each other
well, that's neat.
to
That
just keep
community of
painting.
artist friends and
Yeah.
colleagues
Yeah.
to network. Yeah, to keep it going. I like that.
Yeah. And then
Um,
also just buying art books too. Like
really?
I have three new Frida books that I still haven't gone through yet. But well, I flipped through them, but I haven't actually read them and like studied them. But just flipping through them and looking at some paintings, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I hadn't seen that one before."
Well,
And
she
there were
packed a
some
lot into her. What was it? 50 years? Did she make it to
yeah,
50?
she no, 45.
Not quite. Not even 50. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 45.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's so interesting
No.
when you're got an artist that you know so well, and I know you do, and you tell me you look at a book and see new work that you didn't know of hers
I
before.
know.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think I've seen so much of her stuff, but
Yeah,
I feel like there's always some that are just popping back up, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that one, and there's some that are of course more popular than others,
sure.
but I like to be able to identify like all of them. It's just like my thing. I'm like I want
Yeah,
to
of
be able to look
course.
at a painting, know, oh, that's Frida. I could
Yeah.
tell. And what's cool now is that I can tell what age she painted her paintings by the
Oh,
way
look
she
at
painted them. Yeah.
that's neat.
And so because I started studying the dates on her paintings and then you can kind of tell like, oh, she started losing it right here.
Well, and it was
She
so autobiographical, so much of it,
yeah.
and all that pain,
Yeah.
physical pain and suffering, let alone the emotional stuff, hanging out
Yes.
with Diego. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's
So
amazing. So you
she's a
can
huge
take,
inspiration, as
yeah,
well, and she keeps me going. I have Frida everywhere, like all around my desk. So
good for you.
like I get like bummed out or I get stuck, and I look up. And I'm like, okay, Frida's my strength. If she
Wow.
could do it, then I can do it. It's good,
WWFD. What would
Yeah.
Frida do, right? How about
Right?
that?
Exactly. Yes.
Oh,
So
I like it.
and I just heard Randy just send me a link that because her show is up at the De Young, her exhibit right now, and it was supposed to I think it was supposed to open in May and until September or something like that, but because of COVID, it got canceled. But they still have all her pieces. So I just read on an article that they're opening up the De Young next week,
Are they
and they're
really? Oh
gonna
my gosh.
yes.
Gotta go.
So I need to go online and buy tickets like immediately. It's
Oh,
been years since I haven't seen Frida in person.
that'll be amazing to see how they do
Yeah.
it. I don't know if they're going to probably stagger the entrances and
Yeah. They
limit
said
the number
masks
of
are
people.
required and they're only going to let 25% in, you
Okay.
know. So they are going to, yeah, keep it limited on the amount of people that are allowed in. But I think that's okay anyways
Yeah,
because
sure.
museums,
It'll
you want
make
to
it
be
a
able to
better.
take your time,
It'll make a
you
better
know.
experience.
It actually will, I think. I think that for museums, I
Totally.
think it works. The last show
Sorry,
I went
but
to, I know, right? The last show I went to, Andy Warhol at the
yeah,
MoMA, and oh man, I don't think it mattered what day we would have gone. It was extremely crowded,
yeah.
and I love his pieces. Most of them are enormous, so
Right,
you got to
right.
see them from far away, but everyone was just so
Yeah.
crowded, and I feel like, oh man, I wish I could have just had the whole place to
Those,
myself.
those
Right?
blockbuster shows are tough like that. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you got to love that people come out for those things too, though.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
True.
mixed blessing, but it does
Yeah.
make that viewer experience more challenging. So
Right, right. So
we're
this
not
will
saying
be
we want
kind
to
of
keep COVID. We don't want to keep COVID going
no.
here.
Right.
Looking
Yeah.
on the bright side.
Yes.
Oh, so we've talked a little bit about the Sacramento art scene and some of the locations you've been involved with. Is Second Saturday still going on? I haven't even.
Not that I
I mean,
know
not
of. I
right
don't. I don't.
now,
Yeah, not right now.
but pre COVID, it was
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
They shut it down for a while.
Yeah. I forgot. I think the last time we did Second Saturday was probably last summer. I can't
Yeah,
even remember. And it was we were at La Cosecha at the time at
yeah,
Cersa Chavez Park.
yeah. Sure.
That was really great. We were there for I think all last year, all last summer.
And did you
It was
actually
really nice.
every time did you set up your own booth, you and Randy?
Yep.
Oh, you
Every
did.
time we
Okay,
set up
so
our
you
own
weren't
booth. Yep.
just hanging out; you were an exhibitor.
No, yeah, we were showing our art. Randy was doing his live art the whole
Yeah.
time. Normally they would have like a band come out and play, so it was cool that we got to listen to live music. I
Oh,
even took Kahlo with me. Kahlo got like he became a pro at packing and unpacking all of my
oh my
inventory.
gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and he had fun. He had a great time. And a lot of the
Oh,
time it was just me and Randy. We were the only vendors there. But other times they would have other vendors come out. And there were a few times we were able to get some of our other artists' friends come out and put up their booths next to us as well. So
oh,
that was nice. Yeah.
I love it. Well, we keep talking about your art, and we see a little bit in the background there, but
Oh, yeah.
um, I think Alex has got a gallery queued up. Let's work through
Sure.
some of your paintings, and then we'll also talk about Randy
Yes.
and his work. So
Yeah.
you just guide us through here and add any commentary.
So this one here, I named this one Veronica after one of my close friends, Vero. I don't know if she's watching right now, but I did this one with acrylics, and what's the year on that? I can't even see it. I think it says 2011, maybe. I can't remember. A couple years old, and it's not too big. It's about a 18 by 20 canvas piece.
Beautiful, yeah,
And yeah, and so I just had fun doing her hair and everything.
yeah.
But started getting into Day of the Dead art pieces when my grandpa passed away in
Mm.
2011. And it was inspiring because one of my friends, Kim, who's a photographer, she goes, Lila, why don't you paint your face like Day of the Dead, and we can go out to the buttes, and I want to take some pictures of you. And I thought, oh,
Oh,
okay, sure. And I didn't think much of it. I didn't know too much about Day of the Dead. I knew about sugar skulls,
yeah, right.
um, but I didn't understand the whole concept or the meaning of it until then. And so after we did that, I started doing research about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really in my culture. Like, this is what we do. And I didn't grow up with it, and my parents never really talked about it, so that's why I didn't really know.
Sure.
But then when I talked about it to my dad, he's like, "Oh yeah, in Mexico they do this big thing," and I'm thinking,
Sure.
"Why didn't you ever tell me about this?"
Yeah.
But it was so great, and it really helped me cope with the loss of my grandpa,
Oh,
and I just
great
felt
story.
like him closer to me, and me getting closer to my
Mm.
culture made me closer to my grandpa. So
See, the
yeah, so I continued doing it.
art's all about healing and wellness, right? It's a big
Right?
part of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good. Next. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then Frida,
Speaking
yeah.
of
So this
Frida,
this one is actually tiny. I still have the original. I don't think I'll sell it. It's one of my favorite
yeah.
ones that I
Mm.
did. I have a hard time leaving my
Letting go,
pieces.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. um, especially I have some of my favorites, but this one is small. It's about maybe like a 10 by 10, and I drew this one with pencil, so all the black
Mm.
and white's in pencil, but then the color is with gouache paint, which
Oh,
is like a watercolor but more opaque, and can be a pain to paint with, but I kind of wanted to try it out anyways, and it worked out for me.
oh,
So,
stunning.
yeah, and I really like that one. I think I have, or I used to have this one on my business cards, but I switched some
It's
stuff
funny. It
around
makes me
now.
think of
So,
photographers that do Photoshop. They have a black and white image and then they pop a little color in
yeah,
there. You know, it's like,
that's funny you say that because I tell people I go, okay, I do Photoshop, but I do old school Photoshop without without a camera.
you know,
I can add whatever I want to it because the original picture of this Frida, obviously she didn't have a mask on and
yeah.
it wasn't in color at all, and
Oh,
so I just I sketch it out and then I sketch out the mask that I think would fit on her face, and I try to make the most challenging part is trying to make all of them different because I don't like repeating the same
yeah.
kind of mask designs. So I'm always looking at my own paintings for inspiration. I'm like, oh, I did that one, that design there. Then I'm going to do a different design over here on this mask, on this painting, because I don't want them to all look the same. I want them to look different. And
Good for you.
either changing the design on it or changing the colors of it too.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Always reinventing yourself. Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's next? Ooh,
This one is a acrylic painting. This is a portrait of Shakira, and I love Shakira.
yeah.
She's
Sure.
she's one of my favorite, and we're all mostly we recognize her with blonde hair, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
make Shakira brunette, but see, Shakira actually has natural black hair. A lot of
Did
people
you
don't
really?
know that.
Really?
Yeah, she
Oh,
does. If you look at her very first album,
yeah.
she has her black hair and then she has like red highlights in it.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, she's she's naturally brunette. But I think she colors her hair now. But yeah, if you look at when she first came out, she had darker hair. So I thought, oh, I'm gonna change the color of her hair, and I'm gonna see if people will still be able to tell it's her. And everyone's like, oh, that's Shakira. So that excites
Awesome.
me when people are able to recognize who I painted. I thought, oh, okay, then I did a good job.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And Selena.
Alina.
So this one's a watercolor. It's just all
Really?
watercolor, and I painted her mask. This one I really wanted to incorporate like something about Selena in there, so I used purple. Purple was her favorite color, and I painted this one. I remember I wasn't even at home. I was still at Yuba College. I would just carry my paintings with me. Like I would carry a tote bag with my little painting because it's not that big. My little painting, and then my little palette, and then a cup, and then wherever I could find water, I just grab water and just start
Wow.
painting. And I was actually there was that gallery on D Street that was open for a while,
Was it
and
well, that's the old YubaSutter Arts, Arto culture?
um,
Arto
I'm not,
culture?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Did it have,
forgot.
was it like an arts co-op where it had
It was a
artists?
yeah, the
Yeah. Yeah,
co-op, yeah.
that
So
was YubaSutter
people
Arts. Yeah. Arto
the
culture.
yeah, so I would stay there because I had to close. Like it was my time to close the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I would stay there till closing, and I would just sit by the window and paint this
Ah,
painting.
I love
So
that
whenever
place
I look at it, it
with the
reminds me of
staircase. Yeah, the
yeah,
staircase in the back that went up to the
yes,
mezzanine. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the old space.
yeah.
So I didn't realize you had a space there, huh?
Yeah, I did. I had a wall. I had some of my paintings in there too. Yeah, along with there were a bunch of different artists in
I know.
that
I love
space.
that
Yeah,
complex. It was
yeah.
hard to manage, so we eventually had to
Yeah, I
shut.
painted the whole back wall. If you where you're going to the back where the office at, that whole wall, I painted that with a roller. That was like part of my job.
Well, thank you. Even before I knew you, yeah.
I was working on the place. Yeah,
Oh,
so that one, I don't know where it's at though. I think it's somewhere in my garage. I kind
oh,
of lost her.
bring her
I'm
out.
sure I still have her.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I love the dog.
Yeah, I've done self or pet portraits. I don't just do people. I paint animals as well. And this one was my friend's dog who passed away, Sydney. And so I did this picture of her, um, and to give to her son because I think it was her son's dog
Hmm.
for his birthday. And this one's all in watercolor. This one's one of my favorite pet portraits. I think the more I paint, the more I continue drawing or painting or doing any kind of art, you're only going to get like better at it,
Sure.
and progress. And I look at my other paintings that I've done of pets or drawings, and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't that good. And like it didn't come out as I think if I were to redraw that, it would come out so much better now because now I know how to use the brush properly. Now I know new techniques.
Well, yeah,
So
of course.
this
That's
one,
the
yeah,
process.
yeah. So
And I
this
love that
one
it's
was
up
one of
so
my
close to the
favorites.
viewer, like, like a pet would come right up to you, and it's
Right. Well, she gave me a really great photo, and
okay.
that made a big difference too.
Oh,
I always tell people, give me a photo that's not blurry, please. And close-ups are really great, so I can get all the detail in there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
Very nice. Oh, where
Oh
was
yeah,
this?
this was at the Latino Center of the Arts.
Okay.
This one, I think this was the year before I met you and
Okay.
Abby. Yeah, because they had thrown
Oh,
one before, and I think this might have been the first one that they
okay.
did. And man, it was crowded in there.
That was
So
an
many
incredible
people, and
event.
I wasn't even in a room. I was literally like I couldn't even leave my spot where I was sitting right there because that was the hallway where everyone was
Yeah,
walking
you
in.
walked right by. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
A high
And
traffic location.
I filled up the whole wall. They asked me, Lila, how many pieces do you have? And I
Wow.
was like, well, I have this many. They're like, just bring them on. We'll see how it looks. And I filled up that whole entire
Wow.
wall.
Oh,
And
beautiful
then
presentation.
across on the other side, if you see behind me a little bit, you can see Randy's painting back there. He did a Day of the Dead Pietà. That
And yeah,
one
I
is
didn't even realize you're sitting in the back there. Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's so cool.
Yeah,
Great
that
place.
was fun.
Great place. I love this.
Yeah.
Tell us this story. This is a great story.
So this one, this is the women's bathroom door from La Cosecha restaurant in Sacramento. And the owner
Oh,
had asked me, I think it was last summer, he asked me if I could paint his bathroom doors for him because he really liked the paintings that I had been doing. And I kept telling him yes, but I just didn't have time. We hadn't been going to SAC to, it takes a long time to finish something this big.
mm,
And so I hadn't had time to go down there to work on the doors. And so I actually did this during COVID. When was it? I think it was in May or April or May. So Randy asked me, he goes, hey, they still want you to paint those doors. And I said, okay, tell them I can do it, but I'm not leaving my house. Like, we're not supposed to leave our house. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
yeah.
And he said, well, what if they bring the doors to you? And I thought, okay, that's even better. So I was like,
Oh,
have them bring
good.
the doors to me. So they did. And oh my gosh, these doors were heavy. They're those giant metal doors. And
Okay.
I had forgotten what the doors were made out of. And that was the
Oh,
hardest part was getting the doors out of the truck and putting them in the
oh my
backyard
God.
and then hauling them back and putting them back in the truck after I had painted them was even more scary because we were trying not to scratch the painting at
Oh,
all.
yeah, of course.
We
Of course.
covered it like, with blankets and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So this one, and basically this one was it was commission piece, but he just told me he wanted a woman's face on the woman's door, a men's face on the men's door, and just to do it in my style, Day of the
Oh,
Dead. And I
he
was like,
just let you
oh,
go with it.
sweet,
That is
yeah.
so
And
cool.
I thought
Oh,
I
that's so
love
cool.
commission like this
Yeah.
because I'm free to do what I want,
Wow.
and of course I fall in love with it. I was like, oh. I thought I don't want her to leave now. I want to keep her because she came out so
That's a
pretty.
great picture though,
Yeah.
with you standing next to her. It's just, such
Yeah, you
a
can see the
stunning.
size, the scale. Yeah.
Oh,
So
what a
that was
great
fun
project.
to paint.
So you
Yeah.
ready to do a wall mural now?
Yeah, well, we'll see how big.
You know
I
what?
know.
She'd look fabulous on a utility box.
She would actually. Yeah.
Well, okay,
That would be awesome.
we got some stuff working, so we'll talk if
Cool.
you're ready to go
Awesome.
outside and
I know, I've
paint.
been wanting to do one.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right. We'll talk.
for sure.
That would be
Awesome.
stunning. Okay, here's the
Ah,
other part of the
Randy.
team. Randy
So,
Rivera.
yeah.
This is Mr. Lila Rivera.
Right? Yeah, he does airbrushing, and oh my gosh, amazing. And this is when he painted the Silver Surfer. I forgot what year it was, a few years back. It came out so good. I love his use of color here because he normally doesn't ever use color. Mostly does black and white paintings,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
right.
know he can do color. He just needs to really push himself and practice with the color. But this came out really nice, and that's I. I mean, I have Randy to thank for doing all of this because I never used to do live art or would have a booth or anything had I not met him. He was already
Hmm.
doing live art in Sacramento before I even met
Oh,
him.
he was.
It's
Okay. I was kind of wondering about the
yeah,
sequence. All right. So,
yeah. It was funny because I think I used to watch him paint, like maybe at least a year before I actually even talked to him.
really?
Yeah, we used to go to, it was me and Novak, we'd go to Second Saturdays, and there was always a DJ playing next to him when he was painting. So we'd say, hey, let's go to that DJ spot and watch this guy paint. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay. And we'd go out
Cool.
there and we'd dance and we just watch him paint. And then
Wow. I
Novak
love
went up to him and she's like, "Oh, hey, my friend's an artist too." She's like, "Show him some of your work on your phone." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Oh, this is like nothing. Like his stuff is amazing, so big, scaled." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." And he gave me a business card and he didn't know I already had like a stack of business cards from him from the other
it.
times I had
Oh, that's funny.
seen him.
So
And
Was Pam kind of matchmaking a little bit? Kind of,
yeah, I think so.
yeah,
It's funny. And so I gave him my card and I was like, here. And I thought, oh, he probably gets cards all the time too. You know, I do too from other artists. No big deal.
yeah.
And then like a week later, and that was during a second Saturday. And then a week later, he sent me an email on Facebook. He's like, hey, you want to go to Saks sometime and look at some murals and look at some art? And I'm like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Like,
Well, that's a hot date.
yeah,
Hey,
I
sign
know,
me up, right?
right? That's exactly what we did. We went to
Uh,
SAC and he drove me around all the areas where he knew where all the awesome murals were. And we actually got to meet. There was one mural that was in progress and the artist was there. So we got to talk to an artist
hmm.
while he was doing a mural off Broadway. And the mural's still there. It's pretty cool. A big Native American.
Ah,
And it's all black and white. And it takes up the whole wall. It's huge.
some of those are huge.
And
It's
yeah. And
wide open walls is happening right now
yeah.
again. So,
And the painter was from Australia, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it was. I still remember, and yeah, we went around, looked at all
oh,
kinds of art, and
oh, what a great!
yeah,
I'd never
we
heard that
worked out.
story and how you guys met. And for those
And
of you who haven't seen Randy do what he does, it's he does a lot of different things, but when he does these public art performances, if you will, he takes these, I don't know, what are they, 4 foot by 5 foot canvases,
yeah,
and with the airbrush, and cranks them out in just a couple of hours
I
max. He's done it at a
know.
number of our events, and it's just like amazing. And all of a sudden, boom, there's this portrait of
Yeah,
somebody like Salvador Dali or
yeah,
Selena or John Wayne or whoever. It's just
yes,
fabulous. We love it. It's like
yeah. He
performance art.
does a
Yeah, that's
great
the
job.
is that the Selena he did at
That's no, that's Frida.
is that the
That's
Frida?
Frida. He
Okay.
did. Yeah,
That's
he's
at the Arts
painted.
Council.
He's sold. There's never Frida. He's never kept a Frida. Like
Really?
they always sell. And there was one time we went to. He had a Frida, and we went to a Frida play in Sacramento, and they wanted him to display his Frida
Oh,
in the front where people were coming in, and two ladies were fighting over the Frida painting. And Randy's like, "Okay, you can each get one. I'll go home and make another
right.
one."
Absolutely.
So one of them got dibs because she was there first, and then the other one got the second Frida. And I was like,
Oh, that's so
"Wow,
cool.
that's amazing." Yeah,
That is wonderful. Oh,
yeah,
well, you guys are kind of the dynamic duo here, I think, in the
right.
local art world. It's just, I love what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that was
hollow
another piece that
painting.
he has up at the Sutter campus of Yuba College.
Yeah.
Look at that. Here's the art family. I love it. I forgot. I didn't mean to disregard Kahlo and his budding artwork.
Yeah, this one he painted, that's John Bourdain, and he painted that at La Cosecha. And I don't remember, someone bought it. Yeah, obviously someone bought it. It's
That's the
not
one
in
you
my
wanted
living
for
room.
your kitchen, right?
I know, I wanted it for my kitchen. It came
Yeah.
out so good. I love John Bourdain.
Yeah.
and it came out so amazing. He was living in my living room for a little bit, and
Oh, so you got
it's
to enjoy it. That's right.
yeah, I always get to enjoy the paintings for a short while, and then they're gone.
Oh,
So, but yeah, this one came out amazing.
so we'd be remiss not talking about your amazing COVID mask projects. You've built an industry around art masks. These beautiful masks you create to
Thanks.
help people be safe. But
Yes.
tell us about that. I mean, all of a sudden it's all over
Yeah.
social media. Oh, there's a great sample.
Everybody's making masks. It's like it's the
Not
new
like these.
trend.
Not like these. These are
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I had my sewing machine already. I had made other stuff sewing like lanyards, makeup bags, tote bags,
And you
baby
said
bibs.
you were working with fabrics as a young child, right? With your mom and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, it wasn't anything new to me, and I had never made a mask before. And one of my friends was like, "Lila, you have a sewing machine. You know you could make some." And I thought, "Okay, now you're gonna put me to work." Like, and I thought, all right, I knew right away that once I was gonna start doing this, that it just was not going to end. And so I thought, all right, well, I'm going to look up a tutorial of how to make these masks, and I think I used the tutorial from Joanne's,
Okay.
and I even shared it to a few friends. I had some other friends that were like, "Hey, I want to start sewing." I'm like, "Okay, here's a good tutorial. Here, watch this," and that's exactly what I do. And pretty easy, once you get to it. I knock out masks fairly pretty fast now, like.
But these
And
fabrics you find are so much so much fun. They're just
yeah. So I
amazing.
always had like I would always look for Day of the Dead fabrics or any kind of Frida fabrics or Latino inspired fabrics,
If
and
I send you my shirt, can you make me one out of this fabric?
yeah, I have that fabric actually. I think I might still have some. I've been saving that one because the print is big, and I was like, oh, I can make some bags out of that, or I have that fabric on a makeup on one of my makeup bags.
Oh, I
But
love it.
yeah, and so it was fun looking for these fabrics. It was not so fun seeing the price of fabrics go up. But that's kind of how it goes when everyone's doing the same thing.
Everyone's jumping on it. I know.
So yeah, but I sell all my masks for just $5.
That's
I want people to be able to afford a nice looking mask. That's the thing.
well,
I
it's become
remember,
such a personal statement, when you
right?
put that.
It really does. Yeah, it says a lot about.
I've got one with Shakespeare on it.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool.
So my son
Yeah,
found it and sent it to me. So yeah, it's fun.
yeah.
I mean, it makes a very really serious, difficult situation just a little bit of fun,
Right, right,
appropriately
right.
fun. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
So
thinking,
good for
well,
you. Good
if
for
I'm
you. Oh,
gonna wear this on my face, I might as well wear
yeah.
something that I like. I had one person say, "Oh, can you make me a mask? The mask I have is just so boring," and I'm like, "No one should have to wear a boring mask." Like,
Yeah. That's right.
so
Here's some
yeah, and
more of the incredible
yeah,
Lila product line. I know
wing
we've got a
masks.
wonderful Frida tote bag.
Mm-hmm. I
These are
make
beautiful.
little makeup bags and earrings. I'm gonna make some new lanyards soon, and um, yeah, I'm still making masks, but I'm also gonna start making some other stuff too. I've actually
Wow.
sold like it's funny, like I'm selling the masks, but then I'm also showing these other things I make, and so the same people that are buying masks are like, "Oh, I'll take a headband too. That'll
See?
match my mask."
That's right. That's that cross
Yeah.
pollination going on there, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, you've done so much and accomplished at your, young age a great deal as far as, the artistry and what you do and your entrepreneurship as, as a business person. And so what do you still want to do and accomplish as an artist? What are you going to do in the next 50 years or whatever?
I want to keep learning new things, new techniques. I like recently I was starting to do face painting,
Mm.
and I've been doing face painting since I was in high school, but not like serious, like really like graphic paintings. And I thought I want to really get good at it. And right now I want to try doing prosthetics. I've never done
Oh,
that before,
oh,
and
like
with how
almost like stage makeup kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
interesting.
And so I've watched a lot of shows on Netflix, or any kind of other TV shows, like Face Off
Yeah.
and Glow Up and all those things that have to.
Ah,
And I watch those shows, and it's hard for me to watch them because it makes me want to make something like so
ah.
badly. and and
Or start
so,
painting on
but
start
a
painting
lot of
on
the
Kahlo. Kahlo, come here. I'm gonna.
he won't let me.
Ah,
He's
good.
against face painting, and I'm
That's
thinking,
funny.
fine. I go, I'm just gonna have to practice on myself, but that's okay. But yeah,
Oh,
I love it, and I'd love to learn new techniques, and that's something I'd really like to pursue as well.
good.
Yeah, getting more
Plenty,
into makeup and all that.
plenty to keep you occupied in the decades ahead, right?
Right? Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for you. So what else? What haven't we covered? We've covered a lot of ground, and I keep thinking about the therapeutic aspects of art, especially now when things are so crazy. And you've talked about the importance of art with the passing of your grandfather, and I mean, but that I hate to say art therapy is its own thing, but I think for
Yeah.
any of us involved in the
Oh,
arts, the creative arts, there is that whole process of healing through these creative processes, and I know that's important to you.
yeah.
Oh, so well, let's head into our last segment here. Sorry about the sun. I've got to work on
Oh, it's
something to
okay.
close my one window with. I go through this and I completely forgot to deal with it this week. So we'll press on. I'll stay back here in the shadows. So these are the 10 questions we like to ask all of our guests each week, and they are inspired by James Lipton, who used to have a show called the Inside the Actors Studio program. And I always think they're a nice way to kind of wrap up a conversation with an artist. So we'll start with, what is your favorite word? Oh, did you freeze? Have you frozen on us? We were doing so good. Lila, come back to me. Uh-oh. What do you think, technical director Alex Cecina? Let's see if we can
Well,
get. Let's see if
yeah.
Alex.
She
What's your
is.
favorite word?
My favorite word is working, which this program is not. No, for some. Oh, Lila looks like she's back. All right,
She'll
here
come
we
back.
go.
That
Lila?
happened.
Okay.
There she
Yeah,
is.
I could.
Hey!
Okay, I could still hear you, but you couldn't see me
Alex was
anymore.
going to
You were
answer all the
frozen.
questions for you, but then you
Okay.
came. What's the next one,
back,
Sorry.
Alex?
back to Lila.
Thanks so much. All
Thank
right.
you.
So what is your favorite word, Leela?
My favorite word, just because I say it, I feel like I say it all the time. I say seriously.
Good. That's perfect. What's your
So,
least favorite
yeah.
word?
Oh, my least favorite word. I really don't like the word hate, just because it's a hateful word. So I would say I dislike something or I don't like it very much, but I try not to use the word hate so much.
Good. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Um, I think I have to be like maybe two things. Music, definitely, like really gets me going. I hear a good song and I'm like, oh, okay. And art, like that's music and art would have to
Doesn't get
be
any
on
better than
top.
that. What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Lack of effort. Any kind of lack of effort in anything. I like people that put effort into the things they do. And if people just don't put the effort, I'm like, okay, this is
And
just
you're
not
the
for me.
you're the shining
Yeah.
example of putting effort. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, can I cuss?
Carlo's
I'd
not
have
there.
to no, no kids present. I'd have to say fuck.
It works in a lot of different situations, doesn't it?
Right? It can be a positive word.
That's right. That's right. What sound or noise do you love?
Um, I love the sound of laughter. Like I love hearing people laugh, and especially my son. He has the cutest
Oh,
laugh. I could hear him laugh all day long.
oh,
It's the greatest.
beautiful. What sound or noise do you dislike? I'm going to change hate to dislike. What sound or noise do you
Okay.
dislike?
I really can't stand snoring.
Ooh, ooh.
And my husband snores so much.
Oh, sorry, Randy.
Sorry. But yeah, it's,
Guilty.
it's the worst.
Well, there are different things you can do for that, but you'll work through it. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I mean, I feel like it would still kind of be in my profession, but I'd really like to get into maybe fashion design. Would be
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Yeah, or like constructing a whole line would be so cool.
Inspired by your
Yeah,
mom, right? Yeah.
yeah. That'd be
Oh,
fun.
that's so sweet.
Yeah.
What profession would you not like to pursue?
Anything in customer service.
Oh,
Because there's some really nasty people out there, you know?
we're going to send you back to that
And
juice bar.
yeah. No,
Oh.
I can't.
It's
Can't
funny you
handle
mentioned
it.
that. You spent one more day than I ever did working retail. For whatever reason, my career path, I was a carpenter and a photographer. I painted houses, very entrepreneurial, but I never
Yeah.
spent one day across the counter dealing with the public. And
No.
I hear you on that. It's
Yeah.
God
I
love
just
people
can't
that can
do
do
it.
it and do it with a smile. Alex,
I
was a
know.
barista at Starbucks for many years. He's got a lot of great stories, but
Wow.
he always dealt with those special people with a
I
smile.
know. Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough calling. All right, and last but
Right.
not least, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
He would say, "Yay, you made
Hey,
it."
all right, beautiful, Ann. Lila, thank
Awesome.
you so much for being our guest
Oh,
this
thanks
week.
for having
I've
me.
learned all kinds of new things, and I know we have lots of projects ahead in our future, and we just really appreciate your being part of the art scene here and for the generosity of all that you do, and thanks for being a great friend of Yuba Sutter Arts and Culture.
Yeah. Well,
We want
thank
to
you
thank
guys for
our
staying active during this whole
oh,
time. This has been
abs-
really great.
we are, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not resting. So thanks to our
That's
technical
good.
support team, our producer Abby Cecina, technical director Alex Cecina, and Shante Arroyo behind the scenes. But until next week, that's it for Artist Alchemy. Don't forget to tune in next Tuesday, 4 o'clock. And our special guest interviewer, Alex Cecina, will be talking to comic artist Ash Arroyo. Don't miss it.
Cool.
Until then,
Awesome.
thanks so much.